When you're playing Geometry Dash, you might stumble across something that ruins your day, whether that being an annoying part of a level, encountering a really annoying bug in the game while playing, being incredibly unlucky, or seeing things that make you want to never play the game again. These moments rarely ever happen, however, when they do happen, it gets you remarkably frustrated. So I gathered 100 really annoying things that happen to all of us in Geometry Dash. When you're playing as the swing and you get forced to straight fly, and at the end of it, you have no idea if you're normal gravity or upside down. It's basically 50-50 whether you're gonna lose control or not. When you're playing a really hard level and almost fluke it, but die at the very end, only to start dying at every choke point in the entire level and never getting to the end again for months. Dying to a bad transition or an unsight readable part in an easy level. You shouldn't have to use practice mode to beat a 5 or 6 star level. Getting jump scared with a sudden swing part. Playing a level that has an unnecessarily really long outro. You'd be at 80% but the level already finished, but you get forced into waiting until 100%. Abusing camera triggers, you know what I'm talking about. When creators use the hue shader on the same layer as portals and orbs to hue shift all colors. It's really annoying. Playing as the wave game mode and having to witness the monstrosity of the wave trail behind you. Seeing a level that could be the next mythic level, only to open it and getting hit with this. Grinding levels for days until you have collected enough demon keys to open a chest, only to get an item that you don't like and will never use. While on the other hand, you scroll through the icons and find one you love so much, just to find out it's in one of the 100 key chests, meaning you have a 1 in 8 chance of getting it after collecting 100 demon keys. You're playing a level and get to the very end of it and die at the last possible spot, with the end wall being visible. Typing a long name of a list, then switching to list tab, then having your entire text erased. Playing a level with a really long and boring unskippable intro, especially levels that don't store that you've watched the intro once, so you have to watch it every single attempt. Dying to an invisible input off camera. Playing an extremely difficult level, and the last comment is something like this. When you go out of your way to grab every single coin in a platformer level, get to the end, just to realize you actually missed one, and all these coins are worthless, and you get to the end a millisecond too late, getting 0 user coins. Playing an online level that you personally find so outstanding, you end up beating it, liking it, only to realize there is no way to find similar levels to it across the millions of levels. The ship fire trails are just unaffordable. When you're so used to the current ship physics, but play a level that suddenly uses old upside-down physics, insta-killing you. Why does the username of a creator not display? It sometimes just shows a dash, even though the game knows the name. Why do so many levels abuse shaders? Like, this level really doesn't need to pixelate all over the screen. Chilling for a bit and playing a recent tab level or a challenge, then getting trolled and dying to an invisible spike. Going out to grind some user coins in an easy level, and the level has an extreme demon path for the coin. Playing a newly rated normal level to chill for a bit, then out of nowhere, the difficulty rises to a near top 1 demon difficulty, indicating that RobTop didn't play the full level before rating it. Getting really far in a hard platformer level and not having collected a checkpoint for a long time, then dying, and having to redo everything you just did. Similarly, getting really far into a hard platformer level and being so close to beating it, but suddenly you have to go somewhere, making all your effort worthless, getting no moons, no orbs, and losing all progress. Finding a newly rated mythic level and thinking this will be your next favorite level in the entire game, only to play it and realize you don't like the style or the gameplay of it at all. Grinding a couple of rated levels, then realizing you forgot to load your quests. When you go to quickly beat a rated platformer level, and the creator constantly disables player controls. When people put unskippable dialogues in platformer levels, like it's a lot better to make them skippable so that the players who want to just beat the level can just beat it without having to wait about something they don't care about. Playing a platformer and dying a jump before the checkpoint. Dying to a wave part, not because it's your fault, but because the wave does not move in a perfect 45-degree angle. In fact, the wave just keeps waving above and under that degree. What's up with that, RobTop? Going to open some demon chests, only to realize you are 1 key off. When the daily level is a 9-star insane. Playing an easy level that for some reason has an extremely unbalanced and difficult ending part. Why doesn't the game allow us to go past page 1000 sometimes? Setting the level search filter to a specific song like Stereo Madness, then getting literally everything but Stereo Madness. In fact, most of these filters don't do anything at all, and it's really annoying. Realizing that you have unknowingly beaten a list but haven't claimed the reward yet. We might need an exclamation mark here as well. When the percentage of a level shows 100% but it's not yet finished. Being too busy in real life and missing out on event levels, causing you to miss out on exclusive gold keys. Why can't we click on the creator points on someone's profile to see how many of each rating they have? When a level says it's a 1-minute platformer level, but but takes ages to complete. Why is this icon using a wrong glow texture? Where is the secondary color on these two icons? Why does this ball have a slightly thinner black outline on this crystal? You can't unsee that. What is wrong with the sun going through the castle in the haunted gauntlet? Why does this chest have a red area at the top left? It's really not necessary. Why does the music slider knob have a white box around it? So many particle textures cut before the sprite finishes, and it gets really ugly once you see it. This player icon in the Particles tab has a second texture that is supposed to be the secondary color. However, it never fits no matter what you do. This is because the texture is actually from this icon and not this. And if you scale it on one axis, it will not scale the hitbox at all. Why is that? Why is there no template for the slopes? There is an object for it, but the template only exists on RobTop's channel. Why does the move trigger have an option to follow player 1, but not player 2? Build helper does not work on the sequence trigger, and it's a headache. When you have a timer running, you can enable the ignore time warp option, which doesn't do anything at all. The timer does not ignore time warp. The tracing system is supposed to show you what is being triggered. However, this system doesn't work for some triggers. This button is supposed to show you the next free item ID, which here is 1, however that's not true, because item ID 1 is being used in here. Why does the number in the pulse trigger get reset if I switch between color and group? You can't set the alpha trigger's opacity to something like 0.99, and also why can't we type a number there? Creators in Geometry Dash love having freedom, but the force block has no limit to its force value. The rotate trigger has these arrows by default, but they're only supposed to be visible when aim mode is on. You can't set a trigger to be touch and spawn triggered at the same time. However, if you make it touch trigger, then pause the game, click on create loop. Then, something interesting happens. If you scale an object down, then use the exact same values, but with divide by value enabled, the object will go back to its original size. However, this does not work with values too low. The scale trigger accepts up to 3 digits. However, the follow trigger accepts only 2. Why is that? A shake trigger only works if you spawn it, but not if you pass by it, like any other trigger. When you have an animation object, copy and paste it and make the speed -1. Then start that animation using a trigger. The animation with the negative speed will not animate. Place a keyframe trigger, set the Y position mod as 0, and the X position mod as anything else. Save the editor and come back later. And the Y mod position is now the same as X mod position. How is that real? Despite the advanced follow trigger having so many different settings, it's still missing the most important one, which is offset, that can be found in the old follow trigger as an option. Let's be real, this trigger is impossible to comprehend, and it has many random buttons laying around with no title as to what they do, like these 2 checkboxes or these 3 text things. Also, clicking the button pre. See the beautiful UI. Select one of them, then go to pre again, and the menu completely breaks and you can't click cancel. Selecting a keyframe animation set and copying it to another level breaks it completely if there were other keyframes present already in the second level. Why do numbers not display on the outside of area triggers? Why can't we keep the offset when changing the background or ground? The instant count trigger and the pickup are completely replaced by the item compare and the item edit triggers. Since the game differentiates between item IDs and timer IDs, why is the timer referred to as item ID in the time trigger? You can't set an item as another item plus a number. You can only multiply and divide, like why? If you have more than 20 items in the advanced random trigger, the newly added items won't display at all. The same with the sequence trigger. The spawn particle trigger works, but it cannot spawn particles on the UI. Why can't we make the camera focus on player 1 or player 2? It only works with group IDs, unlike other triggers. Rotating the camera, then making another rotate camera, this time enable add option and 0 move time, will make the second camera rotate not work at all. Why can't we set left and up at the same time in this trigger? It would be reasonable to be able to do that. Why do these sliders stay on the screen after disabling free mode? We need the ability in the editor to temporarily hide all the lines from the camera guide or keyframes. Why can't we choose a main level song in the song trigger? Also, why is there no option to change the pitch of the song? When you see this, you think clicking length plus will display the longest sound effects, but it's the exact opposite. It's the shortest. Material ID just does not work in the event trigger with orbs or something similar. These triggers are kind of useless to have an entire object just for them. Just put them all in the options trigger. After all, you can already hide and show the player through the options trigger too. Also, why can't we show or hide the wave trail in here? Let's be real, we need a radial gradient trigger. It would be too good. Where is the touch trigger box around the teleport trigger? Using the pixelate shader in the editor should automatically ban your GD account. Why does the particle object have so many properties and different settings, but it doesn't have the most important property, that being a set seed value? That would be really helpful to make sure that all the particles' motion is exactly the same. And that makes 100 really annoying encounters in Geometry Dash. This video took months of digging to find the things that many people genuinely find frustrating about the game. So, just like the video, bye.